Good morning to you. Happy Sunday. Hope you guys are doing well. I'm doing well. Today will mark the end of 11 straight months. Every day, baby, shooting a Facebook Live. So 11 months are done, one more to go, and the 365 will be complete. Today I want to talk about barking. I just definitely want to cover this trail as much as I possibly can. I covered barking in days 118 to 120, like a little mini series about barking. Why do dogs bark? What can we do about it? But this is a subject that's just really striking home with a lot of people, and probably because so many people are at home. And so therefore their dog's barking has become more pronounced, more of a problem than ever before. Probably more people are aware of it more than ever before. It's probably their neighbors that were aware of it and they weren't. But whatever have you, whatever your situation is, I want to address barking, and today's video is about those people who don't want their dogs to bark, or they want to at least degrade it somewhat, curb it somewhat, control it somewhat. If you're one of these people, you don't give a hoot if your dog barks or not, you could care less, there is no urgency for you to get rid of it, then go about your Sunday business, because this video is not for you. This is for people who really want to understand, why does my dog bark, and what the heck can I do to make it go away? Because I don't know about you, I'm not very good about being patient for a real long time with those behaviors I know I can make go away, and I can eliminate, and I can do so in a very balanced way. Some people seem to have the gift of ignoring their dogs when they bark. They just do. I don't know, they go to some happy place or wherever they check out of the planet Earth, and they can just, I've looked over at them before and their dogs just bark, 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 and I'm at their house and I'm going, okay, can we do something about that real quick? And they're like, what? Okay, if you got that gift, good for you. I don't have that gift. If dogs are barking in my household, then I need to get things done like this Facebook Live that I'm doing right now, or I'm on a Zoom call like what a lot of you guys are probably doing, working out of your homes, or I've got any studying to do, any preparation, whatever I have to do. I need that silence. That's just how I am. So I go to the mountains to do most of my writing. Okay, so today's video is about those people, it's for those people who are like me, who want to make barking go away. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to just give you some really hard facts today, and then you just do with it whatever you want to do with it. That's up to you. We all get the dog we deserve. So when I put out stuff, it's up to you to either give it a shot and see what you get back from it, get your own feedback, and move on with it. Hopefully it works for you, and if it doesn't, then you're more than welcome to go try someone else's suggestions. But let me just shoot to you straight. First of all dogs bark. Some dogs bark more than others. I've owned those. I've owned some that are pretty darn silent. But nevertheless, all dogs will bark. Why will they bark? Because they're pre-programmed to bark. Barking at its rudimentary level, at a very fundamental level, is an alarm signal. That is what controls 90% of all barking with wild canids, and it also controls it with your dogs. Why would I bark? Again, it's not in my nature to just let off some auditory signal announcing to the whole wide world that I'm here. I'm a hunter. I don't need to let everyone know I'm here. I don't. And you really kind of just need to wrap your head around that. But I also have resources, and I also have myself to protect, and I might have offspring to protect. And I'm a dog, and things are scary out there in that world. So when most dogs start barking when the delivery person pulls up or someone walks by your house, in the beginning, in most cases, it was an alarm signal. And again, I invite you to go back and watch the videos on days 118 through 120. It's an alarm signal. It usually starts off as a very high-pitched and short signal. Boom! Real quick. Hard to localize that. That's his whole intent. I'm sounding an alarm out here, and I'm the one that's doing it because I see the threat. And if the threat's right there and I'm the closest to it and I'm the one sounding the alarm, I don't need the threat jumping on top of me. So yeah, I'm going to kind of do you guys a favor and let you know there's something here, but I don't need that thing localizing directly on me. So in the beginning, most barks, it just happened this morning. We just had a delivery truck go right by our house. And sure enough, Captain was the first one to recognize that there was a possible intruder. And there it went, burr! I mean, really loud. It's like, ow, that hurt. And then next thing you know, all the other dogs chime in. The barking can change in pitch. Typically, if it's really high in the very beginning, it's more like a surprise, more like you walking across the room and going, oh, that got me. It's really high pitched. Or, oh, you scared me. High pitched. It's an alarm signal, and that's why you just cannot make it go away altogether. You can't do it. So wrap your head around that. Dogs are going to bark. They're going to be alarmed. Many things in this world will set off that alarm. For some dogs, more things than others. More dogs are more touchy about it, more habituated to other things, and they won't set off the alarm because it's not a threat to them any longer. But until they go through that process, that identification, friend or foe, threat or not threat, they will sound off the alarm. And they will let everyone else know around them that there's something that's a possible threat nearby. Then all of a sudden, once it goes off in that high pitch, you usually change pitch. Meaning, if I've encountered this threat before, and there's people around me here, other dogs, other people, then the pitch is going to change. It's usually going to either drop or go into more like a howl, whoa, 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 type thing. That's what Kevin did. At first it went, bark, and then all of a sudden it switched to, whoa, 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 whoa. And again, don't be making fun of this. I'm just doing the best I can to imitate it. If that sounds like your dog, great, but I swear that did sound like Captain. And sometimes we just get a little chuckle out of it because it's just an odd sound for him to make. But the reason why he's doing it is he's calling for an assembly. He now wants everyone to assemble. That's an assembly call. Hey, strength in numbers. I'm emboldened by numbers. Look at people. Good Lord, you've had plenty of time this year to study crowds of people. Crowds of people, protesters, rioters, listening to them. When they first start, it's high-pitched. Hey, hey, hey. And then all of a sudden their pitches start to change. Hey, hey, hey. And they rally everyone around them together. And they're emboldened. And they're doing acts that they would never do by themselves. But because they have numbers around them, they're caught up in that wave and their brain turns off. Well, then there they go. They get swept right over the edge of the cliff like a bunch of buffalo. Your dog does the same thing. It calls for an assembly. Hey, it's not just to let you now know that there's something here. I already did that. I now need you to gang up with me and make that darn thing go away. Wolves will do this in a howling, and I'll do a Facebook Live on howling. Why do dogs howl? Why do dogs howl when an ambulance goes by, sirens, different sounds, and they'll start to howl? If you start to sing, they'll start to howl. I'll do a whole video on that later on so you understand the mechanisms behind that. But again, it's either A, sound the alarm, and then it boils down to, or now starts to fade down into or form into the need to assembly. And then it changes from there. Now it can go into that growl. And that's exactly what Captain did. High-pitched alarm, assemble. When the other dogs assembled around him, it now switched into a growl. And so did the other two dogs. They started to growl as well. Because they've learned in the past that growling and that assembly of animals does make the delivery person go away. Sure enough, it sure does. It makes them go away. So they kind of get their own reinforcer for even doing this. So that's the biggest reason why dogs bark to begin with. That is natural. That has survival value. That's part of biologically prepared learning. They're pre-programmed to do this, whether you like it or not. Okay, then beyond that, it now starts to morph itself in as the animal learns, because remember, animals learn how? I said it before, by interacting with their environment. And if you happen to be in the environment, they'll interact with you. And they can learn to communicate using auditory signals, things like, hey, feed me. Excuse me, a little hungry here. Time for you to get up and come feed me. Or, excuse me, I know you're in the middle of a Zoom call, but I need to go potty. So can you come over here and open the star door for me? They've learned, herding dogs have learned to bark at their prey, at livestock, to help drive them, to help motivate them. These reluctant sheep, these reluctant cattle. Excuse me, it isn't like in the movie Babe. They don't ask them nicely. It is one of those, it's a warning. It's a warning. Tell you what, if you don't start moving right now, then I'm going to bite you. You need to go that way, with that group over there, assemble with that group over there, and then all of you need to get in that pen right over there where that guy's standing. They learn how to do that. Dogs learn how to influence our behavior through auditory signals that are outside of typical wild canid signals. A wild canid, if they're going to manipulate the behavior of other canids, they're going to do it through a howl, long distance communication, or they're going to growl. But anytime I've ever witnessed, heard wolves barking like a dog, a deep bark, that's an assembly. That is like a maneuver. You go that way, I'm going this way. they're heavy into the hunt. And so that's another reason why your dog can start to bark. Super excitement. My arousal column has gone so high. I've gone so high. Listen to people. Listen to people when they get excited. Notice their pitch of their voice goes up. They're really excited about something, or they're really passionate about something. And they just goes up, 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 up. If you got a teenager in the house, listen to that. It's kind of funny. You see it, hear that voice crack. Yeah, excitement, excitement. So now, boom, out comes, I have to have an outlet. I have to have an outlet for all this excitement. And sometimes, if locomotor movement doesn't do it for me, then I'm going to bark. I'm going to send an auditory signal because I just can't contain it. So dogs will bark out of excitement. That would be maybe you arriving at the door, they know you, or Captain wants his ball really bad. Like, come on, Bryan, quit talking to the camera and get to throwing that darn ball for me, please. So sometimes I know you guys have heard him whining. It whines a little higher and higher because he can't contain it anymore and he has to let that out. So it comes out in an auditory signal. So excitement can be another one of those. So those are the three main reasons auditory signals occur. Either A, it's an alarm. Oh my gosh, there's something here and I need to let everyone know. And by the way, that has a benefit for everyone. Everyone. You know, if I just take off and run, that doesn't benefit anyone unless they happen to see you running. And someone goes, did you see Captain? He just went that way in a real hurry. I wonder why he went that way in a real hurry. It doesn't do anyone any good. When you're in a crowd and you're kind of spaced out a little bit, that auditory thing can benefit all the other members around. In fact, out in the wild, it can actually benefit other species. Not just you and your clan and you and your pack. No, the other animals hear that too and they go, oh, did you hear that? Let's get out of here. Run, run, run. So alarm first, then assembly, then after assembly, we want to influence the behavior of either that intruder, we want to influence that behavior, that other pack member, that other family member, or we're just so excited, I'm just letting it out. So there you go. These are the reasons why dogs bark and why you have these really loud and can be sometimes extremely annoying auditory signals erupting from your dog. So you have a couple choices when it comes to this, a couple of choices. You know, I've already said barking is going to happen. So therefore, you can either prevent barking altogether. That can be your stance. I just don't want you to bark. And that's appropriate for people who are still working outside of their homes. They leave their dogs home all day long, and they live in an apartment, townhome, condo, high-rise. In other words, you have neighbors possibly working out of their homes right next to you, maybe even sharing a common wall. Therefore, barking now in your absence, I don't care what the reason, and by the way, there is one more reason, but I'm saving that for my pharmacotherapy mini-series. There's a whole nother deeper, darker reason why dogs will bark. But not onto that day. I'm on to an average dog going with the average dog. Here we go. Okay, so you kind of need to make that dog be quiet. You need to prevent it from barking altogether. All right, so how do you do that? You can use a bark collar. What does a bark collar do? It emits an electrical stim when your dog barks. I've talked about those before. Today's bark collars have advanced to a tremendous level where they'll actually train the dog. You can set it on its lowest setting where most dogs, they're just going to bark right there. They won't even notice it. And then all of a sudden, after they are quiet, it resets itself and now moves up to the next level. And then when they bark, and it keeps doing that until finally the dog takes notice and goes, okay, what the heck was that? What was that all about? And suddenly, after a few more repetition, I'm starting to get something here. I don't know what that is, but I have noticed that as soon as I bark, I feel it. And as soon as I'm quiet, it goes away. Okay, good to know. Good to know. So bark collars can work for some dogs. They do not work for all dogs, but the technology is there and the technology will work when you're not there. So unlike a remote training collar where you would have to press the button, you don't have to press the button with them. I've seen them be so effective with some dogs that all you have to do is strap it on them. You don't even need to turn it on and it works like a champ. Dog goes about its day, it eats, it drinks, it plays with other dogs. The technology has really been refined. And they're quiet. They're quiet. And I will tell you one thing. I will give you just a little bit of a trailer with the pharmacotherapy thing that's coming up here soon. Is barking is stress. Yeah, even if you're doing it from excitement, remember your stress response is mobilized even when you're excited. So barking can drive a dog into a deeper state of a mobilized stress response, cause the dog to rise gradually or very quickly up the arousal column to a very dangerous layer. And if it happens over and over again, then we have the stockpiling of glucocorticoids, which then affect the hippocampus of the brain and so on and so forth. And down the rabbit hole we go in a real hurry. Just letting your dog bark for barking's sake is not good. It is not good for your dog. It was not meant for your dog to do that, but it got placed in a world where it feels like it needs to do that. So a bark collar is an option to think about using because they can be quite effective for many dogs, extremely humane, because it simply teaches the dog. It only uses the level that the dog is, that's required for the dog to go, okay, I'm kind of done. Because at the end of the day, you have to disrupt the behavior. And I've told you before many times, anytime you're trying to train your dog to do anything, if your dog could ask you two questions, it would ask you, what is it that you're trying to get me to do? What is it that you want me to do? And why should I do it? Why should I? Well, you need to give it a reason. Okay, so a bark collar is one of those reasons. Simply removing your dog, what we call sensory deprivation. Yeah, take away all the reasons to bark. The only reason why you bark is because you're in this place by yourself and you want out. But like in outer space, no one can hear you scream. Well, then no one can hear you bark. Done deal. Neighbors don't need to worry about when you get home, you let your dog out, and now your dog can run around. And again, most animals will habituate to those situations over time, and they will learn that I'm not in here forever. I'm not lost from you. You do come back. You do rediscover me. I do get out, and everything's hunky-dory. And they're perfectly fine. They get used to it. We're all given the biology to overcome certain little stressors like that for a reason, because you cannot avoid them. They're coming. They're coming. Okay, otherwise you can now be more selective and teach the command quiet. You can teach that on a long line. Again, I've done videos on it, go watch them. You can teach it on a long line, the conventional method. Hey, quiet. Again, why should I be quiet? Why should I be quiet? When everything's telling me if I bark my head off, I'll drive that thing away. So why should I be quiet? Well, here's why. I got it. How about that? That's called social support. That's me now being more proactive, me moving to that door, me going, I see that threat just like you do. I tell you what, you be quiet. Why don't you go over there and just do place? How about that? I'll go out here and deal with this thing. Yeah, that's one way. You bet. Quiet helps when they realize you got it and I don't have to take this thing. You're obviously aware, no more alarm signal. Everyone knows what's going on. You've assembled with me, but now you've told me you don't need me. Fine. I didn't want to have to deal with it anyway. Tell your dog to go back and do place and be quiet. You can do that with the conventional means, and you can gradually work your way up no matter what. Even if you want to use a remote training collar for quiet, you really need to start on a long line first so the dog will associate the auditory signal from you, quiet, with the haptic signal of the leash, what it feels from the leash, and eventually what it feels from the remote training collar. So it's not left out there clueless, going, okay, what the heck was that? With a bark collar, they kind of learned that on their own because it's more of an irritant, and it grows from an irritant to a moderate irritant to a high irritant to now we start to cross that little thing called, I'm going to tell you what, you might just want to stop barking threshold. Okay, so that's another thing that you can do is teach the command quiet. You can do sensory deprivation. You can use a bark collar. You can use a remote training collar to teach the command quiet. The one thing that I find that, again, is very difficult for me to do is just ignore it. Ignore it. And I have yet to figure out how to, with most dogs, and again, there's no absolutes, and I definitely have said that, and I don't know how many videos. There are no absolutes. However, what I'm going to give you is the majority rules here. I have not been able to figure out a simple reward-based system, meaning all positive approach to stopping a dog from barking. I'm telling you right now, when that delivery truck went by, you could have offered Captain a ribeye steak. You could have offered him cheese. He loves cheese. Oh my gosh, you open up a wrapper in my house, they're right there, except under these conditions. No, again, I'm not going to eat the cheese until that threat goes away. Till that threat goes away. I need that thing out of here. There's survival value behind that. This is my territory. This is where my food is. This is my rich habitat, and you're an intruder, and I need to let everyone know. In fact, I need everyone's help, so everyone just assemble around me, and then let's all just get to growling, strengthen numbers, and let's drive them off. Food does not always work in those situations. You must disrupt the behavior. Disrupt it. And a lot of behaviors in which we deal with dogs with psychiatric disorders, with unusual fears, phobias, OCDs, we will chemically disrupt it. We will trap the dog at a certain level in its arousal column. Doctors do it to humans all the time because they have to. They have to. They cannot allow your autonomic stress response to just go out of control. They cannot allow that to happen. It's hard to anesthetize an animal whose heart's going 9,000 beats per minute. Oxygen is way through the roof. You can't do it. It's dangerous. You have to chemically arrest because your body's always trying to achieve homeostasis or allostasis, trying to find balance. So when your dog shoots up that arousal call because there's a possible intruder, there's a threat, there's whatever have you, or because now I've done it for so darn long, it's like a reflex and I don't even have to give it a thought, you will have to disrupt that behavior. And if you're not going to disrupt it chemically, using it as a prevention type method, you're going to have to come in and disrupt it from an environmental standpoint, an environmental approach. So again, you can try it. Best of luck. Your dog goes off on the UPS person, the FedEx person, the Amazon delivery person, the Uber delivery person, Bite Squad. I should probably give them all a mention, but I can't think of all of them. Any of them, I don't care. Try it. Say, here, piece of cheese, and see if that works. See if that works. Okay? So if it does that time, great, good for you, but I wouldn't count on it working every single time. You're going to have to jump in here. You're going to have to take control. You're going to have to show them you have control of the situation. And I do have control. Because A, I can make you do anything I need to make you do. That proves that out of the two of us, I'm stronger than you. I'm more capable of dealing with this stuff than you are. You stand down. I'm a producer. You're a scrounger. I'm the gatekeeper to society. You are not. That's how it works. It is. Okay, so there you go. I wish I could really make it easier for you. People are always looking for the easy way out. They want to just be able to offer their dog a treat and everything is unicorns and rainbows and there's no stress ever incurred by the animal whatsoever. No. Sorry. That's not the way it is. So simply embrace what it is and you get busy. And again, when it comes to any sort of correction, any sort of disruption, you always obey the rules. As simple as that. It's not really hard. It's kind of like, it's not rocket science. Use just what it takes to immediately stop the undesired behavior and immediately start the behavior that you find is desired. Simple as that. What do you want me to learn as the dog? And why should I do it? Try to balance it out. Anytime I tell my dogs quiet and they're quiet, I guarantee there's something coming behind that. Sometimes I don't have food on me. I just say, well done. Much appreciated. Love you, dog. And they feel that. They feel, I don't have to say a thing. I can just look at Captain, he's laying right here. He's been staring at me the whole time because he loves being near me, around me. He wants to be around me. He feels it. Come cattle dog. Here, everybody, let's show him that we work treating around. Yeah, there he is right there. He's been here the whole time. And he looks at me all the time and is with me constantly. Even when he's hacking back here. We didn't talk about hacking. He's just got some straw, something caught in his darn throat. But anyway, yeah. When your dog's been around you long enough and you've been consistent long enough where they don't have to guess, you're not going to send them into that learned helplessness through unpredictable and uncontrollable stressors. I am extremely predictable, the captain. Good news, bad news, devil you like, the devil you don't like. Either way, I'm extremely predictable. Therefore, you can control a lot of what happens with you and me, and I can do the same to you, and we go through life stressless. Not stress-free, less stress. Because it's out there. Good Lord, anyone who doesn't believe that, just live through the last 11 months I've been doing these Facebook Live videos, and you'll know about stress. Okay, well, that's it for today. That's barking. Pay attention to it. It's not rocket science. Make it happen. Behind me, by the way, you guys are probably looking over my shoulder going, what is all that stuff back there? This is Kira's domain. This is her domain. We have she posted yesterday, we have an advanced obedience, that means off-leash video series that's going to be coming out in February. I'm the guy, I write all the scripts, and I do a lot of the talking and narrating and all that sort of stuff on there. But when it comes to actually putting this thing out there in the world, there are a million moving parts. I cannot tell you how many moving parts. In fact, I'm just going to kind of let this thing slide a little bit. There we go. And you'll just see how many moving parts. This is only the tip of the iceberg. This is our war room is what we call it. That's just because that's what used to be what we used to call the military, just where you plan everything up here, where you post brief, stuff like that. But you can see back here. So guys, anytime you ever see one of our series or anything that we do, I am telling you what, there are layers and layers and layers and layers of thought given to that. Every single angle that you can think of, research, put into it. So hats off to Kara. I'm glad she can do this part here. I'd have a hard time doing that. I'm more of an action person. But man, she is, I call her the great and powerful Oz. She sits there behind the scenes. You guys really never see her. You may talk to her on the phone, but I am here to tell you what. If something happened to Kara, we'd all have to be scrambling because she is an integral part of what we do. She's like kind of like the brain center, like the nucleus of the brain center. I'm just a dinge right there hanging around out there. So, trying to pick up the message coming from her, trying to send it on down to her and let her send it on out. So again, that's what's happening there behind me. Enough of that stuff. Okay, guys, I'm going to tune in with you tomorrow. And tomorrow I'm going to start a mini-series that I used to call Pups and Pregnancy. So if you're expecting a baby in the near future, it's definitely within the next month, or if you already have one, or if you have one that's just crawling across the floor and getting ready to stand upright, might want to tune in to those videos. And again, if you can't catch them live, you can always catch it on the replay. Very important information coming out on those. Okay, guys, I'm out of here. Talked enough today. I'm going to stop barking. You guys can go enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.